Center, a place where I've been myself multiple times, is the largest hospital in Missouri and the largest private employer in the St. Louis region. In 2018, the university launched a medical apprenticeship program offering training and opportunities to unemployed and underemployed members of the local community. Ms. Gladney, what prompted the Washington University hospital system to start?
Former president has said this about the fourth stimulus check. They want to pass it now. Over 200 lawmakers are expanding the relief to millions of Americans, and Democrats and Republicans are beginning to discuss a negotiation that could send this to you. But as congressional Republicans increase discussions on social programs, a trio of Democrats in the House have reintroduced legislation that would make permanent the expanded multi-child tax credit. Even the American Family Act has been reintroduced by Representative Rosa DeLauro and Susan DeBlain, but the bill has been backed by over 200 House Democrats. The bill would expand the permanency of the expanded child tax credit as established in the American Rescue Plan. The expanded child tax credit would be expired at the end of the year, even as inflation continued to affect millions of Americans. The recently proposed bill would continue $300 monthly checks for children aged 6 and younger, while expanding the maximum credit to $250 per month and $3,000 annually. It is up from $2,000 under the previous policy. The bill also provides the full credit to children that have been left behind previously by revoking a rule limiting the refundable portion to $1,400 a year. It also eliminates the earnings requirement that previously excluded about a third of eligible children from the full credit. Representative DeLauro's office has noted that the expanded child tax credit assisted more than 60 million children and lifted nearly 4 million people out of poverty. And when they expanded and improved the child tax credit under the American Rescue Plan, it provided unprecedented economic security for families. The most recent monthly payments have helped people pay their bills and keep nutritious food on the table, afford school supplies, as well as manage mortgage or rent payments. Several Democrats have made it clear that this credit would be an investment to children and families. Advocacy groups have shown support for the bill's reintroduction. Even executive director of the Institute of Taxation said, "We are thrilled to see lawmakers prioritizing tax credits for the low and the middle income." The American Family Act comes amid Republicans' proposals to change the programs, including slashing funds for rental assistance and education programs. Folks, still, 2 states are ready to significantly ramp under the financial incentives for this bill to adopt renewable energy and EV vehicles under new laws that mimic the federal clean energy tax credits. The Minnesota lawmakers recently agreed on a $2 billion budget that dedicates hundreds of millions of dollars to cutting greenhouse gas. And what's clear about this is that Minnesota is going all in on this. About 900 million people, $900 million in Minnesota's next 2-year budget will pay for the tax credit. And because the credits adjusted gross income and the number of claimed exemptions, single filers earning an annual income of under $100,000 will receive one-time checks of $300, with single taxpayers with a higher gross of income receiving $100. Married couples who file joint returns are also set to receive $300 as part of the one-time payments. In addition to the stimulus checks, Hawaiians can look forward to the state's minimum wage being raised for the first time since 2018. The bill approved by Governor Ige raises the minimum wage of $10.10 per hour to $12 an hour starting October 1st. Also, some good news for you guys that live in Indiana. They can expect to see another $200 in your bank account after Indiana lawmakers approved a second set of payments during the special session. This cash comes from a state surplus. Governor Holcomb pitched the idea of a $225 check to help Indiana residents struggling with high gas prices and inflation. In the Indiana House bill and Senate took approaches to different inflation relief checks. The House plan mirrored the governor's proposal and includes payments of $225 to residents, while the Senate plan, on the other hand, includes a proposal to... It's on the way right now, everybody. More and more fourth stimulus payments have been approved. Congress is going to take huge action this week to establish new financial assistance programs, and millions of Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and RRB beneficiaries can expect to receive new stimulus payments. States have announced their action plan to address the rising cost of living that so many people are facing. President Biden has also made announcements on how the White House plans to further lower prices for the American people.
This means taking health care to the people, often the hardest to reach and often left out and the most medically underserved. So I urge President Biden to sign this bill into law without delay to improve health outcomes across the board and make a positive difference in people's lives. Thank you, and I yield back.
And while U.S. gas prices have come down from the highs seen this summer, they are still clearly weighing on President Biden, who today repeated demands for oil companies to charge less. During a meeting of the White House Competition Council, Joe Biden said last month, "The price of oil worldwide is down, and we haven't seen the lower prices reflected at the pump." Meanwhile, oil and gas companies are still making record profits and billions of dollars more in profits. And according to the AAA, U.S. oil futures fell 9.2% in August. Gas prices during the same month were also down, dipping to 9.2%. As Biden noted in his speech, gas prices across the country remain uneven. They are substantially higher in western states due to a lack of refining capacity. Biden told reporters, "My message is simple. To the companies running gas stations and send these prices, bring down the prices you're charging at the pump to reflect the cost you pay for the product." Biden's words echo comments he made earlier this year as average U.S. gas prices surged, hitting more than $5 a gallon in June. The White House expanded considerable effort to try and reverse this trend, including massive releases of stockpiled petroleum. Gas prices have fallen since that peak by more than $1 on average, helped by the decline for international oil prices. New inflation data from the government has also drastically changed the next benefit boost. A potential delay looms for the eagerly awaited announcement that over 70 million U.S. retirees and the government benefits recipients anticipate each year this will happen. That is the annual pay increase as a government shutdown looms, but so far, the new rate is slated to be implemented for Social Security retirement benefits recipients in January, while payments for SSI beneficiaries usually change at the end of the year. The COLA is contingent on the annual change in the CPIW at the end of the third quarter. A memo from the Labor Department outlines the potential impact of a shutdown on agency operations, emphasizing the connection between the delay in CPI release and the subsequent COLA announcement by the SSA. In the previous year, amid surging inflation, the announced COLA for 2023 payments stood at 8%, the largest increase in the years. But this year, with inflation slowing due to aggressive interest rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve, 65 million Social Security retirement benefits and SSI beneficiaries have experienced substantial increases in their real income relative to inflation. This year may witness another above-average COLA increase as inflation, through moderating from its 2022 peak, has remained high. In August, the CPIW recorded a 3% year-on-year increase, driven primarily by elevated gas prices. Despite this, the COLA for 2024 is unlikely to provide the same buffer against inflation as seen in the years before. Amidst the federal budget debate, House Speaker McCarthy has approved and slashed several prominent welfare programs, aiming to achieve an annual savings of approximately $150 billion. This includes cuts to federal safety net initiatives like food stamps, even the federal Pell Grants for low-income college students, housing assistance grants, and a program reducing high heating bills is going through. Regardless of one's stance on the government role in funding these programs, the abrupt cut to these existing welfare initiatives can disrupt the lives of individuals and families reliant on them. Well, over the next decade, discretionary spending includes targeted welfare programs that's expected to decrease relative to the size of the economy. Meanwhile, Social Security and Medicare are rapidly expanding, with projections indicating that mandatory spending on entitlement programs will exceed 60%. Despite the magnitude of this issue, neither party is willing to consider significant long-term changes to these major entitlement programs.